and I swear allegiance to the courage in your veins. I doubt you no more.
All right, I get to bring you a dose of sanity and a possible dose of sanity today. And let me tell you, it isn't often I get to do that. One of the biggest problems with this job is I try to be rational. I try to present the truth, but this has been a bundle of chaos for years, since I've been doing this in 2021. And it's very difficult to take this big bowl of chaos and sort it out for you in a rational way with a smile on my face. But today, I get to give you some good stuff, real good stuff. I'm not saying the 2025 season is going to be sane. I'm talking about now. One story, Tyreek Hill came out and finally spoke on to his stance against him, and it is sanity. Whoa, really? I'll break that down. And then, look, this defense, we're very secure, I'm not saying top 5 or whatever, of this front. But clearly the cornerback group, with all the injuries and everything else, has made it a little bit pins and needles. But Kurt Warner brought a point up today, and it really germinated something in my head that I want to present to you to kind of understand maybe there's a sanity lurking on our defense. Again, not to say everything is awesome, but these 2 points, they do bring some coherency to a team that isn't very coherent often. Anyway, that's the deal. I'm actually happy today. So guys, please like, subscribe, comment, and view. All that stuff keeps Curtis in the biz. Appreciate that. Comments are the most important. I personally like them. The algo gods like them. So without you, without them, my sponsors, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so we know Tyreek has been super talented. He's the most valuable piece on this team. I think there's a high chance we can move him off from next year. But whether we stick with them or move off of them, he's got to have a very good season. We know he quit on the team. There was all kinds of talk. Joe Rose talked about it and not showing up to team meetings. We got rid of Ramsey, who didn't want to be here. And so Tua came out and was very pointed and I thought very honest. I'm surprised some people didn't like his take on Hill, saying, hey, we got to work through this. You just don't say, I quit, my bad type thing. We know that. I liked it. I'm not here to tell you Tua's going to stay healthy. I'm not here to tell you he's the quarterback for the future, but he's the quarterback for this team this season. And if he can get Tyreek Hill right, Tyreek Hill is the ultimate blue chip, either for us in the future with Tua or another quarterback, or to move off him and get something in return. And Tyreek came out today. I read the Cameron Wolf report, and it looks like Hill finally might be getting right. And guys, he's lived a life of super talent and people cowtailing to him, and that has not done him well. And his statement here, you'll see Cameron Wolf, who I like a ton. Tyreek Hill says Tua's comment about their work in progress relationship were needed, noting Tua is team leader who sets the standard. Debate on that if you want, but this part clearly shows that sanity has come a little bit into the Dolphins. Tyreek says he's showing up, taking notes for the first time in career, and finally understands the Dolphins offense for the first time in 4 years. You could say Tua is not the guy or he is the guy. But Hill admitted for the first time in his career, he's showing up and taking notes. And in 4 seasons, he finally understands the offense. He said it. we clearly saw things happening. This guy has lived on his talent. He's skated through. People have pushed him through, whether it's the authorities, the NFL, his coaches. Whether it's because he loves Tua or believes Tua, or he knows he's got 50,000 kids and he's got to pay them all and he's got to go someplace next year or stay with us going forward, knows he's got to get his act right. And if Tua had just been like, well, gee, golly whiz, it's okay, would we have gotten this? What Tua did, regardless of what you think about him overall in the macro, he did the right thing for the Dolphins, the right thing for Tua, and the right thing for fans to get this guy on track. The fact that he admits this means he admits he had a problem. The addiction to narcissism might have found a way through, at least on the football field, and this is great news. That's the kind of response you wanted from Tua. I don't understand how people didn't like it. I'm happy he did it. Showed real... So Hill is confessing here who he was. And maybe we'll get the best. He's dropped weight. He looks fantastic. But that's something he's always had. This commitment to his craft is great news and sanity to this ball of insanity. Does it mean we're going to have the right GM and McDaniel's going to be the coach for us going forward? I don't know. We could crap out. But this is great news, and it showed great leadership. And if Tua does not prove to be the guy, at least he set this one piece up to have a potential for getting return for us, whether he's here or not. So I love that. I love that. Now, clearly, looking at this graphic here, moving on, you can see this is our nickel look. We're going to run a lot of nickel looks. Phillips, Grant, Seal, Robinson. You got Chubb in there as well. You got Butler in the background. You can see in the purple. It's a good front. Will Grant be worth it? I don't know, but he's looking pretty good so far. And he's clearly better than we've had for a lot of years, not named Wilkins and not named Campbell. But still, that's a ferocious front when you add in Chubb. And then in the background, Dotson, he's proved to be a good cover corner, whether cover linebacker with Bills and with us. He's made big plays. Brooks is clearly an excellent linebacker. And Willie Gay has stood out as a big physical guy who can blitz, tack, stack, and shed. And he knows his career, too, is going to go one way or the other based on what he does. That's a phenomenal front. But obviously, you get to the safety group. We've lost guys there. Melifonwu, is iffy with the injuries. Fitzpatrick clearly is going to be good. Will it be great? I don't know. But Dante Trader hasn't practiced yet. McMorris, Elijah Campbell, It's not really a deep secondary. Maybe Davis comes back at some point. And then the cornerback group. Jones is looking good. He's another guy. His career is going one way or the other. He's been pressing guys, been physical, clearly super fast. He's had good seasons, but it's an unknown. Hilton, older guy, good nickel. Cater's loss does hurt. But then you got really only Jason Marshall and Duck in the background. So this secondary is a little sketchy. But this front is ferocious. And you see Weaver bringing guys to the line of scrimmage and dropping them off, confusing the front. And now I want to get into Kurt Warner's take. And there's a lot to get into it. But here's what he said. I like Kurt Warner a ton. Liked him when he played. I did want him to lose 1 year to the Patriots because the talk was he was better than Marino. It bothered me. But I love the guy. One of my biggest frustrations in football now is watching teams try to pick up every single pressure instead of designing plays with answers to attack it. It continuously leads to mistakes and negative plays and gives quarterbacks a false sense of security thinking they don't have to worry about it. One of my favorite things to do when playing was to deal the football into voids in pressure and scare teams when they did. It's as if no one is afraid to bring pressure anymore because the chances of the O picking up everything or every offensive player winning their blocks so the QB can throw down the field, it's rare. And so we have to understand there's no two-a-days. The offensive lines don't get to practice. And we see the talent levels and the jobs of these offensive lines dropping. Not like here in Miami, but this is why they're moving to invest more and more talent, because if you don't have that chemistry time, adding the talent, it kind of offsets it. And you can see the league itself, just like McDaniels, I'd add in, quickening up the throws, but they're also bringing more screens, more play actions, more extra help. They're trying to pick these blitzes up rather than just go naked and throw it to the hot spot. Guys do it. Guys like Burrow and Allen at times and Mahomes. There's all the guys out there, but it's rare. And so what this says is, because of our front, because of the pressure, Chop, Chubb, Phillips. Unfortunately, Kamara got knocked out today. I pray for him because he was brought to the ambulance. What this means is that ferocious fronts, just like we do, will force the extra blockers and all this pass rush mitigation and keeping guys in, which means less receivers and routes. And then, so that means that your secondary won't be as stressed. And with what I'm seeing Weaver do with our front, he's not going to be bringing 6 and 7 blitzes, but he's going to show maybe 6 blitzes and then drop 2 guys off. With the front you're seeing here, you can clearly bring plenty of pressure, the pressure you need, without having to really blitz that often. And when you do, because of how good these guys are, who do you double Sealer? Who do you double Chop? Who do you double Phillips? Who do you double Grant? There's a lot of questions and a lot of concerns and a lot of ability for these 4 guys, or maybe even just 5, and then they'll hold in 6 or shorten things up to allow this thin, unknown secondary to not be so stressed. Worst thing for a defense is you bring 5, they've got 5.5 blockers, and now, you've got 5.5 guys in routes, and you only got 5 guys in coverage. That is a major problem when it gets picked up. So this pressure, this front, this ability to have multiple looks. Brooks was going one-on-one with Achane. That's crazy. So he can get in there and drop and get back to his spot. They can look and show 6 and really rush 4. Or maybe they bring 5 and a guy gets free. And that will further force the condensing and conservative nature of these offenses, hopefully to offset as much as possible a very questionable secondary. And so maybe Weaver is understanding this. Maybe the Dolphins are catching the right side of the curve for a change. Clearly, you look at Allen, you look at Mahomes, May, they're going to do it too because that offensive line's beat up, unknown. They're getting more conservative with their pass rush mitigation, and they're throwing the ball faster. And this will help teams, will help us keep that ball a little short, keep it in front of us, and maybe allow this cornerback group not to be a disaster based on how potent our front is. We'll see, but clearly you could see with us, they would bring 4 all day, and we have to keep 5 and 6 guys in, 2 and 3 guys in routes against 7 guys, and you saw how much it caused Tua to struggle. Not saying it's the only thing. So hopefully what we got here can give us a little of that and maybe allow us to have a respectable season. So that's the good news for today. Clearly it's a great news for Hill. It's great news for him to admit it, and we can understand. If he didn't know the calls and didn't understand the offense, maybe a lot of those passes or some of those passes, people saying, oh, no, it's all on Tua. Maybe he didn't know what the hell he was doing. And then here, look, Weaver, I like him. This defense has got to be at least around 12 to 10. That cornerback group doesn't make me feel that way. But maybe with what Warner's saying, with what we got in the front, it can bring us respectability for a respectable 2025 season. Not bad. All right. Getting ready for the insanity tomorrow. Anyway, that's the whole deal for today. Curtis saying, be well, go Phins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.